A joint media application to record and broadcast the fraud and corruption trial of former eThekwini Mayor Zandile Gumede and 21 others will be heard by the Durban High Court. Is aimed at overturning an order by Judge Sharmaine Balton, which bars the media from publishing recordings and visuals of the case. Gumede and her co-accused are facing charges that include fraud and corruption in connection with the multi-million rand waste removal tender in 2017. JAYED PAULSE, SABC News reporter, is following up on that. JAYED, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us once again. So what's the outcome of that judgment?
Well, welcome back to the Durban High Court, Alden, and for the viewers watching back at home. And yes, today we heard the lawyers representing both media broadcasting agencies, that being the ENCA and SABC, ventilating arguments as to why we should have our trade of tools inside court, why we should be able to use them, why we should be able to also record proceedings. But just to break down the arguments that were ventilated in court, I am joined by the lawyer representing us in the matter, Dan Rosengarten. Mr. Rosengarten, thank you so much for joining us. This really has been a back and forth for the better part of the year. Just in terms of the arguments presented in court today, can you just tell us why did you state that it was unconstitutional for the original decision to have us not proceed with broadcasting our proceedings live inside the Durban High Court?
If I can give you a little bit of history, and you'll recall this from the commencement of the trial, the media were originally excluded without having given them a chance to be heard, which is a fundamental right of open justice. We then brought an application successfully, and the media were in court for a substantial period of time. There was then an incident with a shot being fired through the house of a witness, and what happened then is that the state and the representatives of the accused in chambers reached an agreement to the effect that the media was not fully excluded, but there were serious limitations placed on the media, including not being able to bring cell phones in, not being able to bring computers in, which are also part of the tools of the trade. Now, the Constitution protects freedom of speech, which includes not only the right of the media to impart information, but also the right of the public to know information. So what we're saying is, by putting this order, which in essence is substantially a gagging order on the media broadcasting live, making the information available now, it totally limits those rights.
And being a journalist that has been prohibited from actually covering this trial, having our cell phones placed outside by security, not having our laptops in, not being able to speak to our editors with regards to where we are with the proceedings. In terms of your engagement with Judge Sharmaine Balton as well, the accused are allowed to have their cell phones in court, and in her initial, agreement with us, she said that we could too. Many are saying that this is unfair and this is muzzling of the media, because the accused are allowed their cell phones, but the very journalists trying to narrate the story and broadcast information to the many thousands who are interested in this case are not allowed to.
Absolutely correct, and it's I'm not breaking any confidences, because this was a matter we dealt with in our application, in the papers, and we said, well, it is unfair. How can the journalists not be allowed to have cell phones and computers in court, laptops in court? The idea of a cell phone, you may want to record the proceedings for purposes of reporting later or writing a story later. And again, to do that is limiting the tools of the trade, and to allow the accused to have their cameras in court, it seems bizarre to me.
Mr. Rosengarten, so where to from here? You ventilated your arguments, there was a short adjournment. Where to from here?
Where to from here is, as you'll know, we, on behalf of the broadcast media, ventilated our arguments in court. Although initially there was some suggestion that we should be limited, we managed to ventilate them fully. The matter was then postponed for the state to argue and for us to reply. The reason being that the judge said that she needed to press on with the trial. That is unfortunate, because the matter should have been fully argued. We don't know when it's going to be postponed to, which means until then the order stands. So until then, you don't have access as you had previously to record, film and broadcast the proceedings. We always think that the best way forward is one way or another to try and reach an agreement. And I think in this time, we will try and reach an agreement between all the parties as to how the trial should continue. And obviously a core part of that will be to protect the media, to protect the broadcasters, but also to protect possibly the rights of the accused and respect the judge's ability to determine how she handles proceedings in her court.
And a graft trial such as this, I'm sure it's going to also set a precedent. So the outcome of this will also have dire impact on journalists throughout the country covering court cases.
I'm hoping not. And the reason I say this is that the decision which was taken, and you would have heard it from the argument, was contrary to jurisprudence which has been dealt with over the years, much of which I've been involved in, to the effect where slowly we've chipped away at allowing cameras to be in court, allowing audio and audiovisual pictures and filming to be broadcast. And so one of the arguments is to say, look, you've gone against the trend. This is the trend. You need to reconsider your matter. You need to hear us on the issue.
And hopefully Judge Sharmaine Balton will actually reconsider that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosengarten. Well, that was the lawyer representing the broadcast media fraternity that had brought an application to have their trades of tool brought into the court case. If you've been following this trial, Aldrin, you would know that last year we were allowed to film the proceedings. Unfortunately, from July this year, we were not. It's been very difficult to broadcast and to tell the story of the trial of Zandile Gumede and 21 others. We're not allowed to mention any of the witnesses. We're not allowed to mention some of the accused as well during the thread of evidence that they are bringing to this court. And it has been very, very difficult. So hopefully there will be light at the end of the tunnel, as you heard Mr. Rosengarten say there, and that the ruling will be overturned. It's back to you in studio.
Well, thank you so much for that, JAYED PAULSE there.